Unit 5 final exam review. Let's get going on this. So, as we talked about previously, you got to remember you want to maybe put ones here and here to remember to distribute to all three places. So you're going to end up with 4 to the 3 halves, x to the 3 halves, and then y, you're going to have negative 4 over 1 times 3 halves. Okay, that's negative 2. So it ends up being negative 6. Now, just to simplify, first off, y to the 6 on the bottom. Negative exponents move downstairs. X to the 3 halves is going to stay. We just leave it 3 halves. And then we have to determine what 4 to the 3 halves is. Remember, use your calculator if you need to, and put in 4 caret parentheses 3 divided by 2, which will give you 8. Otherwise, you think about the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 cubed is 8. Number 2. We've talked about this before. There's a lot of different ways to go about this. You can simplify, then multiply, or multiply, then simplify. I personally like to simplify first. So on the top, I have x to the 2 and x to the negative 4. Well, that's going to give me x to the negative 2 on top and y to the 2 on top. On the bottom, I have x to the 1 and x to the 2. That's going to give me x to the 3. And I have this y to the negative 3 on top. On the bottom. And then I have 4 over 10, which is going to reduce to 2 over 5. Now, I still need to clean stuff up. So the x to the negative 2 is going to move downstairs. Now the 2 and 5 are not going to change. I had x to the 3 on the bottom. I'm moving 2 more down. That gives me 5. With my y's, I had 2. I've got these negative 3 on the bottom. I've got to send them upstairs, and that's going to make 5. And I'm finished. Again, not the only way to do it. Another way to go about this problem would have been I could have canceled those x's right there if I wanted to. And then move the x to the negative 4 downstairs and y to the negative 3 upstairs. So we're going to get 5. Doesn't really matter. Different way of going about it. All right. X and y's. For my x's, I have 3/5 and 1/2. Well, to do any addition or subtraction, in this case it's subtraction, I need a common denominator of 10. So 5 times 2, 3 times 2. 2 times 5, 1 times 5. Now, where do I have more x's? 6/10 on the top, 5/10 on the bottom. I have 1/10 more on the top. Now, y, I have 2/3 on the top. And on the bottom, I have 1 whole, which is 3/3. Well, where do I have more y's? On the bottom. How many more? 1/3. And there you go. Add, subtract, or multiply the following polynomials. You get to do what you always want to do here because notice there's no plus sign or minus sign there. We are supposed to distribute, multiply. So x times x squared, x to the 1, is going to give me x cubed. 3x becomes 3x squared. And negative 5 is just going to join with the x. I don't know what that was. What happened there? Okay. Now I'm going to send the 2 in. Here, here, and here. I'm sorry, I didn't give myself enough room there. So 2 times x squared is plus 2x squared. 2 times 3x is plus 6x. And 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. Now, the x squared are going to join together, and the x's will join together. So, descending order, standard form, x cubed first. 3x squared plus 2x squared is 5x squared. Not 5x to the 4th, 5x squared. If you had 3 apples plus 2 apples, you get 5 apples. The item stays the same. You don't get applesauce. Negative 5x plus 6x. That's 6 take away 5 is plus 1x, or just x. And then the minus 10 by itself. Alert, alert, alert. We have addition. We do not have multiplication. We are not going to multiply 7x squared by anything. We're not going to multiply 5x squared or negative 10x by anything. All we are doing is joining like terms. So 4x cubed has no friends. No one to hang out with, just by himself. I must scratch that out now. 5x squared plus 7x squared is 12x squared. I'm done with these guys. Negative 10x minus x is negative 11x. Done with them. 13 minus 10 is 3. And that is all she wrote. Again, not times. The only multiplication that's going to occur here is sending this negative here, 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 and here. So 10x cubed minus 4x squared plus x. Minus 7x cubed is going to be minus 7x cubed. And then minus 12x squared. Now the negative 7x is going to become positive 7x. And that positive 12 is going to be subtracted. 10x cubed by itself. Negative 4x squared, negative 12x squared is negative 16x squared. 1x, whoopsie. 10x cubed did have a friend. Right here, I made a mistake. 10x cubed minus 7x cubed. I apologize. That was a mistake there. Eraser. I don't know why it's doing that. Come on, be my friend. Eraser. There we go. So 10x cubed minus 7x cubed is 3x cubed. Hopefully some of you caught that before and were yelling at the screen. Then, my x squareds. Now my x's. Plus x plus 7x is plus 8x. And then the minus 12 is by itself. Alright, 4x minus 5 squared. Now again, hopefully you remember the shortcut for this. It's very simple. You square the first term. 4x times 4x is 16x squared. Then you're going to multiply these two and get negative 20x. But then you double it. And then you're going to square the last term, which is always going to be positive. Now remember, if that is a struggle for you, then you need to literally just do 4x minus 5 times 4x minus 5. And FOIL it, multiply it, distribute it, whatever. First, outer, inner, last. Okay? But notice what's going to happen. 4x times 4x is going to be your 16x squared. 4x times negative 5 is negative 20x. 4x times negative 5 is negative 20x. That's where the negative 40x that I did not write for some reason, I said it, but I did not write it. That is where the negative 40x comes from. Classic do as I say, not as I do problem right there. Okay, divide the monomials. Now, again, we talked about this. If you need to, you don't do that. If you need to, you can write this as 12x cubed over 2x minus 16x squared over 2x plus 10x over 2x minus 8 over 2x. If that helps you. And then you just deal with everything one at a time. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Where do I have more x's? On the top. How many more? 2 more. Minus 16 divided by 2 is 8. Where do I have more x's? On the top. How many more? 1 more. You don't have to put that 1. 10 divided by 2 is plus 5. The x's cancel. And then I'm just left with minus 8 divided by 2 is 4. Careful here, over x. The x stays on the bottom because that's where it was. Find f of 4 using synthetic division. So synthetic division means you're going to put 4 in the box. We're going to look for 3, 2, 1. We're good. So I have no fillers. 2, negative 5, 10, negative 30. Now remember, we're stopping with just the remainder. That's all we have to do. We're just evaluating the 4. Remember, if you see this word, evaluate, stop at the remainder. So first step, drop down. Multiply times 4. Add. Multiply by 4. Add. Multiply by 4. Add. 58. There's my answer. Again, this is no different than just plugging a 4 in here, here, and here. If you want to, remember, if you want to confirm this answer, take your calculator and go to your y equals and put in 2x cubed to the third power. Come down. Minus 5x squared plus 10x. Now remember, this problem says synthetic division. If this is a constructive response problem, you've got to do the work, not just get the answer. But you can use this calculator to verify your answer and make sure you did it right. And then just go to 4, and there it is, 58. Thing of beauty. Why not make sure you're right before you move on? Divide, 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 using synthetic division. So x minus 2 equals 0. 2 goes in the box. Okay, sorry I had some technical difficulties there. Back where we were. Now, 2 goes in the box right there. Now, I have 1 for my x cubed term. I have negative 5 for my x squared term. I have 0 for the x term that's not there. And then I have a 20. Drop down to 1 times by 2. That's negative 3. Times by 2 is negative 6. Add, and I get negative 6. Times 2 is negative 12. Add, and I get 8. That's my remainder. So, I'm ready to go. Remember, if I started with cubed, 3 divided by x to the 3 divided by x to the 1 is going to be x squared. Minus 3x. Minus 6 is my constant. Then plus 8 over my original divisor of x minus 2. I'm finito. Finished. X plus 5. Determine if that's a factor. In other words, we want to end up with 0 as a remainder if it's a factor. So x is negative 5. That's the number in the box. Negative 5. So I have my 3, 2, 1. I'm good to go. 1x cubed, 5x squared, negative 4x, negative 20. Drop the 1. Multiply by negative 5. Careful with your signs. That makes 0. Anything times 0 is 0. That makes negative 4. Multiply by negative 5, that's positive 20. And that's 0. If I get this for an answer, my answer is yes. I do not have to do anything more. It does not ask me to solve. It does not ask me to find the other factors. I just need to see if it's a factor. And it is. Okay, second page. Now, find the solutions given a 0. So we know 3 is a solution. So 3 is going to go in our box. In fact, down here, I'm going to go ahead and say 3 is one of my 3 solutions. Remember, the highest exponent tells me how many solutions there will be, real or non-real. Now, I have my cubed term, I have my squared term, I have my x to the first term, my linear term, and I have my constant. I'm going to bring the 1 down. Multiply by 3 and get 6. Multiply by 3 and get 18, get 8 here, and multiply by 3 and get 24, which gives me 0. So true, it is a factor. Now, I started with cubed, so this is x squared plus 6x plus 8 equal to 0. I need to factor this. I need 2 numbers that multiply and give me 8 that add up to 6. Well, that's going to be 4 and 2. Both positive. If I said I'm running out of room, so, well, I'll do it over here. X plus 4 equals 0. X equals negative 4. X plus 2 equals 0. X equals negative 2. Okay? So this is negative 4. That's negative 2. Those are my other two solutions right there. Remember, very common mistake is you get excited, get these, and write those and say those are my answers, and only have 2 answers when I forget to bring this one down. I should have 3 answers, and there they are. Find the solutions given a factor of x plus 3. X plus 3 is equal to 0. Therefore, x is negative 3. That's my number in the box. I have a cube term. I have a squared term. I have a linear term, x to the 1, and I have a constant. I'm good to go. Drop that 2. Multiply by negative 3. Add. 9 minus 6 is 3. 9 plus negative 6 is 3. 3 times negative 3 is 9. Negative 9, my bad. Which gives me 1, negative 3, 0. It is a factor, for sure. I need to find the other solutions. 2x squared plus 3x plus 1 equals 0. Factor this out. 2x and 1x. The only way to make 1 is 1 and 1, and they're both positive. If I set them both equal to 0, 2x plus 1 equals 0. 2x equals negative 1. I subtract. X is negative 1/2. That's one of my answers. Here, x plus 1 equals 0. X equals negative 1. So there are my answers. X equals negative 1, and x equals negative 1/2, right? No. I should have 3 answers. Here's my third answer. X equals negative 3. There are 3 solutions, 3 answers, 3 zeros, 3 roots, 3 x-intercepts. All right. Can't see that. I have a difference of 2 cubes. I need some soap. Same opposite, always positive. So I'm going to do my binomial, my trinomial. Binomial is going to be the same. Opposite, always positive. This term right here is the cube root of 125. And the cube root of x cubed. This here is the cube root of 8. This here is this squared. 25x squared. I will clean this up. This here is these two multiplied. Don't worry about the sign, because we already know it's positive. 2 times 5 is 10x. This here is this squared. Always going to be positive because you're squaring it. So there's my answer. 5x minus 2 times 25x squared plus 10x plus 4. End of story. Factor each of the following. Okay? Well, first thing I'm going to do is take a 2 out. X to the 4 minus 2x squared minus 48. Now remember, we're starting with a 4 here. So when I factor this, instead of having x and x, it's going to be x squared and x squared. Remember, I know that from that. That 2 tells me what the degree of the 2 terms should be. Now I need 2 numbers that multiply to give me 48 that differ by 2. Well, that's 8 times 6. I want more negatives than positives. And I'm done. Why? Because it says factor. And yes, the 2 stays when I factor. If it said solve, I would set the 2 parentheses equal to 0, throw the 2 away. Because there's no variable there. But it just says factor. I'm finished. But don't forget the little 2's there, otherwise you'll lose partial credit. And that's a silly point or 2 to throw away. Alright, I'm going to factor by grouping here. What comes out of the first one? Just x squared. X minus 3. I get to cheat. I know this is x minus 3. Now I ask myself, self, Negative 9x divided by what will give me positive x? Negative 9. I confirm. Is 27 divided by negative 9 negative 3? It is. Hook them up. X squared minus 9 and x minus 3. I am finished. All right. So if that said solve, then I would set both of these equal to 0. X squared minus 9 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. All right? But it doesn't. It says factor. Stop right there. Save yourself the time. Devote the energy to something else on your final. Solve by factoring. Well, I only have two terms. It's not a difference of two squares. So maybe it will be after I take out a GCF. But that's all I can do. So I'm going to pull out a 2x squared. Then divide. That's going to give me 4x minus 5. Well, that is not, I have no difference of two squares, so I'm ready to go. Remember, anytime you have an x out here, no matter what the exponent is, no matter what the coefficient is, my answer is going to be x equals 0. Now, I can show you why. 2x squared equals 0, divide by 2, anything 0 divided by anything is 0. Square root of both sides, well, square root of 0 is 0. So you can pretty much just jump right to here if there's an x on the outside. Over here, 4x minus 5 equals 0. In my head, if I visualize it, I'm going to add 5 and divide by 4. 4x equals add 5 and divide by 4. See how you can do that? We'll walk it right through. There we go. Number 19. We're almost finished. Number 19. Well, I can't factor by grouping yet because I need to get these bad boys over here. So, I have x cubed. The negative 2x squared is going to become positive 2x squared. The 5x stays 5x and the negative 10 becomes positive 10. Now, I can factor by grouping. So the only thing I can take out here is x squared, which gives me x plus 2. X cubed divided by x squared is x. 2x squared divided by x squared is 2. I can cheat and put x plus 2 right there. Now, what do I need to divide 5x by to get x? Just simply 5. And 10 divided by 5 is 2. I confirm. I'm ready to go. Now, unlike number 17, I'm not finished at this point. I actually need to solve this. So, I set x squared plus 5 equal to 0, and x plus 2 equal to 0. I subtract 5, x squared equals negative 5. Use the square root property. X equals, remember, anytime we take the square root, we need a plus minus. Negative 5 doesn't simplify at all, but the negative will come out as an I. Whoopsie. Root 5. And then over here, I just simply do x, subtract 2, x equals negative 2. And there are my two answers right there. And last but not least, your last problem on the last section of your review for the final. X to the 4th minus 16. Well, this is a difference of two squares. But remember, if this was just x squared minus 16, it would simply be x plus 4, x minus 4. Remember, square root of this term, square root of that term, 1 plus, 1 minus. But this is a 4, which means I need x squared here. All right? Now remember, we don't have the little hint of an x squared in the problem to remind us, so we just take 4, divide by 2. Then we do the plus 4 and the minus 4. Again, still equal to 0. So I'm going to do x squared plus 4 equal to 0, x squared minus 4 equal to 0. So over here I get x squared equals negative 4. And here I get x squared equals positive 4. I'm going to use the square root property all over the place. This is going to give me x equals. Remember, square root gives me plus or minus. The square root of 4 does simplify to just 2. But don't forget that negative has to come out as an I. Over here, I just simply get x equals plus or minus 2. And that is the end.